Alrighty, so welcome back to another episode of Inspired by Jamia. As you guys know, I fell flat on my face early this year within my positivity journey, and it's been very interesting to try to get back up. And so words are playing in my mind right now, and I think it's from Martin Luther King. But if you cannot run, by all means walk. If you cannot walk, by all means crawl. But whatever you do, get back up and do not stop. And so that's kind of where I am right now. I'm in the process of getting back up. And I'm not exactly sure what that's going to mean for Inspired by GML. I'm not sure the direction that we're going to go in. I do know that right now, the biggest thing the biggest piece of advice that I can offer you as well as to myself is going back to the foundation and remembering what were you standing on when you were in your positive moments? What were you standing on that made you feel so confident? And for me, that was inspirational videos and motivational podcasts and inspiring people and being able to be around and question different successful people. That's what brought me joy. That's what kept me grounded. That's what I know I was standing on. And so what I've decided to do now that I'm kind of crawling and getting my life back together, um, I decided to bring Inspired by Jimmy L on the journey with me. And so on this particular week, we have another clip brought to you guys by YouTube. This is another great clip, and this one actually came from Abraham Hicks, and it's titled, Talk Only About What You Want. And I know I brought this up on the last week's podcast in making sure that I'm choosing my words wisely and not always harping on this is where I am now, but focusing on this is where I want to be. This is where I see myself. This is the positive aspect of this. And so it's not always easy. I have good days and bad days, but this particular clip starts in the middle of a rant that she's doing. And I think that you and I both are going to get some great inspiration from this. Here we go.
Applying what I know, that's upstream. I can apply what I know, that's downstream. I'm getting better and better at this, that's downstream. It is easier on some subjects than others, that's downstream. Some things are just so big and so wrong that it just makes me crazy, that's upstream. But the fact that I can feel it and that I know I'm doing it is a good sign, that's downstream. I don't have to figure this out all at once, that's downstream. I'm getting better and better at that, that's downstream. I have worked so much magic in my life, that's downstream. This one issue is sort of a big bugaboo in my life experience, but I'm going to get a handle on it, that's downstream. The good news is I really care about this is downstream. I haven't figured out exactly how to make this happen, but I will figure it out, that's downstream. I don't always know exactly what to do, but I'm getting better at knowing what to do, that's downstream. In other words, feel what we're talking about. You can tell it like it is in a downstream way. We're not asking you, and we don't want to have ever given you the impression that everything that you say must be over here in this place of knowing. It has to just be downstream from where you are. Yeah. And on some subjects, you can easily go downstream, and on some subjects, it's easier for you to go upstream. We just want you to be aware when you're doing upstream and when you're doing downstream. Esther said to Jerry, and really meant it, Jerry said, that sounds like it's upstream. And Esther said, not from where I am. Mm-hmm. That was a downstream statement. And then she said, and anyway, it's none of your business. And then she turned upstream. And then she said, but I appreciate you pointing that out to me. And then she turned downstream. And then she said, and I wish I was as perfect as you. And then she turned upstream. And then she said, you are really good at this. And then she turned downstream. And then she said, and I am sometimes too, and then she turned downstream. And then she said, I'm embarrassing myself because I'm not doing what I know to do, and then she turned upstream. And then she said, but I am where I am, and then she turned downstream. And then she says, I'm figuring it out, and then she turned downstream. And then she said, and Abraham or nobody else has ever been holding me to the standard that I always have to be turned downstream. I get to sift through the data too. I get to have experiences too. I get to give birth to more desires too. I get the benefit of all of this contrast too. I love having an experience where something happens that makes me clarify and focus and think about what I want in a very powerful way. I love that life is giving that to me now. At this stage of life, who would know that something so big could happen that would cause me to actually begin to focus in a powerful way? I can see see that I was getting sort of lackadaisical in my focus. And it's nice that something has happened that has given me a reason to focus in a way that's got me really, really wanting something that I'm really, really not getting. And I can really, really feel this because it's really, really important to me, because it's a really, really big aspect in my life. And because it's such a big aspect in my life, I can tell when I'm focused downstream and when I'm focused upstream like nothing before that's ever happened in my life. And aren't I grateful to have an experience like that? Isn't it nice to have something that's so big and vivid? Aren't I glad that it's not limp? Aren't I glad that I'm not wondering, I wonder if that thought was upstream or downstream? Isn't it nice that it hits me in the gut? It's very clear whether it's upstream or whether it's downstream. And isn't it nice that I have guidance within me? And isn't it nice that now I have given birth to something that is so much bigger than anything that I would have ever given birth to before? And now this very big thing that I've given birth to is over there, and it's calling me, and all the resources of all the universe are over there where what I want is, calling me toward it. No competition about it. It's just, Esther, come this way, Esther, come this way, Esther, come this way. You can't get it wrong, and you can't get it done. It's time to stop making such a big hairy deal about all of this and just go with the flow with the thoughts that feel good. Just reach for thoughts that feel good, and don't try to use this or anything else in your life to prove anything to anyone.
Do not use this or that to try to prove anything to anyone. Oh, I love the end of that. I love that. That was not her entire main point, but I totally love that she said that toward the end. But at the end of the day, we all are just trying to figure this thing out. I don't really know who you are, whether you are the CEO of your own organization, or you are a supervisor or manager in a leadership role, or you're just starting out in a business, or you're just starting out with parenting. We are all, we're just trying to figure this thing out. I will say that I'm figuring it out, that I don't have to be so hard on myself. So, oh, I forgot to preface this earlier in the week on the last video. But if you're watching the YouTube clip, I am much darker. My hubby and I, we just got back from LA. We spent a week in LA, and it was amazing. But that's not the point of the story. But anyway, if you're looking at why I'm so dark, that's why. But I rented for the first time using Turo. And not that it's a bad thing at all, because it's a really great experience. But we rented a two-seater hardtop convertible. Oh my gosh. I love the car, but it was not designed to house baggage for anyone that's going to be there for a week. Okay. It was not designed for that. And at least not that and have another person in the car with you. It was just not designed for that at all. And so when we first got the car, there was definitely some hiccups. Um, my husband was very upset because he didn't know I had ordered the car, but he was very upset. And I mean, very upset. Rightfully so. Even I didn't, I just knew it was going to have enough trunk space. I was just knew, I was like, because at the top is up, like, we're great, like, no problems. So I just knew it was going to have enough, but it did not. But my point is, instead of he or I being extremely angry for the entire trip about the amount of trunk space that was in this car or how small this car was, we made it work. You know, we took things out the suitcase, we bought new things, we rearranged some stuff. So, we made it work. We figured it out. And at the end of the day, we were able to leave the airport, spend multiple days in multiple sites across the city, and still did not get a chance to visit them all. Got a chance to lay out on the beach and get an amazing tan, even though my skin is starting to peel. Had an amazing time figuring it out. And so, any lesson that I can give you today that I would highly suggest you put on replay is don't beat yourself up. We are all figuring this thing out. I love you guys as always. And until the next time, you know what I'm going to say? Peace be with you. Namaste. See you guys.